Good morning, guys. It's Jackie from Famished Farm, and it's about 75 degrees out. I'm dressed like I'm going to work today because I am, and I do get pretty sweaty working in this 75. I think by the time I'm done, it gets up close to 80. The ground is pretty damp. We have had about a quarter-inch of rain overnight or in the morning, and this is now after lunch that I'm starting to do this work. And this is the end of our strawberry bed. That last winter we had the -7 degree temperatures, and we're in northwest Alabama, so that's very cold for us. That kind of decimated the strawberries on this end of the bed. Those strawberries were ones that I had bought plants from Home Depot, and they were ever-bearing small berries, and I will not buy those again because I think I lost all 16 or 8. Actually, I think I had 8 plants that I had added in. So that was kind of a bummer. So anyway, we're going to get this new bed. This is actually an extension of our existing bed. Last fall, I laid down cardboard and then covered it for the winter with what I'm raking off right now, some leaf mold, and may or may not have put compost down underneath the leaf mold. I can't remember at this point. So I'm just going to rake this mulch back and then tackle these weeds that have popped up this spring. There are some persistent grass roots in here too. So when you see me really yanking, that's what I'm working on. So this is going to be the sweet corn bed, and we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. So this existing bed was the bed that the previous owners had put in. There were no borders between the grass and the bed, so grass was growing into the bed, and we let it go. We just didn't do anything with it the first spring, and what came up were wild mustard. I can't remember everything else, maybe some wild garlic, but we weeded the entire bed, layered it with cardboard, put some leaf mold down, and basically let it rest for that first year. So last year I came in, I planted some strawberries here. You see the existing strawberries I planted then where I'm kind of standing now. Those strawberries did not survive the snow and the cold that we had last year. We got down to -7. Working on my garden plan this winter, I started thinking, and I saw seeds, of course, that makes you really dream. I saw sweet corn seeds. So I decided that this part of the bed, this new part, we would make into a sweet corn plot. Now, I love sweet corn. My dad used to grow sweet corn for us when we lived on the farm, and we would be responsible for picking the sweet corn, and then he would let us sell the sweet corn, and that would become our money to use for the county fair. So us 3 kids, we'd go out with Dad, pick sweet corn, fill up the back of the pickup truck, and then since we lived on a busy then country road right at a corner, we would put the sign up, put the truck out at the road, and us kids would sit and sell sweet corn. Yeah, bring on some sweet corn. I would love to have fresh sweet corn in the summer, and that's what we're going to try to do. In planning the garden, I started looking at different ways to plant it, and my mom and my grandpa had always said, you don't grow sweet corn unless you have a minimum of 4 rows, and I think that was for pollination. And so in a small garden plot like this, I need to plan 4 rows. So we've got that. That's what we're working on. And I also started looking into the 3 sisters method of planting. Now, 3 sisters was used by Native Americans, and the romantic version of it is it's how the Indians taught the Pilgrims how to plant corn, beans, and squashes, pumpkins, and which led, you'll remember, to the first Thanksgiving, that romanticized version of the first Thanksgiving. So that's kind of where my thoughts were taking me. So the idea is that you plant the corn. When the corn is a certain height, you plant the beans and then the melons. And as the corn grows, it provides the trellis for the beans. And then the melons, the pumpkins, the squash, whatever you plant on the ground, becomes the shade that keeps the plot weed free. So, and as you can see, I've got lots of weeds here, so I'm interested in that whole weed free. Let's choke out the weeds. So I have this personal connection to sweet corn. I love the historic connection to this way of planting, but I don't really have the space to do it as the Indians did, which was in a round, like I think most places that I've heard, that I've read about it, indicated like a 5-foot round with corn going on the outside, with at least 1 bean plant planted alongside the corn once it reached knee high, and then a certain number of squashes in the middle of this 5-foot circle that would branch and vine out and cover the soil. So I'm going to do kind of a modified version of that, using rows with the beans planted on the perimeter so they're easier to harvest. I think it's going to be too much to harvest, too much on the interior. And the squashes, I'm thinking watermelons as my ground cover. Those you're not going to harvest till later in the season anyway. So that's kind of where my mind is going. So let's just get planning here. We're marking off our first row, and it's about 9 feet wide. And these rows, the room that I have is roughly, I can't do 3-foot rows, but I can do a 2.5-foot row. So that's what we're working on here. The plants that you see to the right side of the tape measure are volunteer cantaloupes. So those will be part of my 3 sisters. Those will be the melon, part of the melon ground cover. And the first row that I'm working on, these are going to be from M.I. Gardner. It's I think Golden Bantam is the name of the corn, which is just a yellow sweet corn, apparently very popular. Kind of wish my dad was still here so I could find out what sweet corn he planted for us all those years. But I'm sure this has good ratings and good reviews, so I'm sure it will be just fine. The next 3 rows, I went and bought a supersized pack of seeds that is a peaches and cream, so a white and yellow corn mix, sweet corn mix. So step 1 of the 3 sisters is to get the corn seeds in the ground. Step 2 would be the beans. Now there's different kind of trains of thought on when to plant the beans. Some people, like the square foot gardeners, a lot of them say either plant the corn and the bean seeds together or wait till the corn is about 4 inches high before planting them. I think you need to give the corn a little more time to mature so the beans have a better chance. Beans are going to take off. and I don't want them to outpace the corn. I want the corn to be able to support the beans, especially if it's windy. Those corn stalks can come down. So I'm going to give it a little bit of time to get the corn mature enough to support the beans. And then you'll see me as I'm weeding. There's 2 volunteer melons that have come up over the spring, over winter this spring. And I'm going to just let them stay in place. Now, those are cantaloupes that last year produced very well, but right before harvest, I lost them all to splitting. I had picked one. I'd never grown cantaloupe before. I had picked one and we cut it open, but it still was not ripe. And it seems like the very next day I went out and I was picking cherry tomatoes as I did 24/7. It seems like last summer I was finished picking my cherry tomatoes and I was going to take a look at the melons, and the 6 remaining cantaloupes that were on the vine were all split. So we're not sure what happened with those. I never really did. I just got so busy with cherry tomatoes that, that kind of overtook my whole life. So I never really investigated to see what might have caused all 6 to split the same time. But regardless, I have 2 free cantaloupe plants there that are coming up and look to be in great shape. So we'll leave those as part of our 3 sisters. These will be 2 of the sisters. And then I've got a couple different ways I can go. I had at one point thought that I might plant as another one of the sisters the dried beans that I'm hoping to get, the black beans and kidney beans. But I just read something that made me rethink that and just go with regular pole beans. So I'm still debating that, and I've got plenty of time here. This corn is going to take anywhere from 5 days to 10 days to come up. And then it's going to take, several weeks for it to grow up to a foot. So like I said, plenty of time, and plenty of time also to figure out which big leafy vining melons we're going to put in here. But I had kind of planned 2 different watermelons that might be good in this situation too. A crimson, I think one is just called Crimson and one is called Sugar Baby. So we're going to think on that. The other thing that I've got that I think would do good are gourds. I've got several different gourd seeds that I ordered right after we first moved in here. There's lots of birds, and I was going to put gourd bird feeders on each post of our fence. That was kind of the plan. I haven't done anything with that yet, but I hope to get that done at some point, and so this might be a good year to try that. So those are the possibilities, and we're going to see what ends up happening. But I'm going to just kind of speed through till we get to the planting part of this video, so you can see how I undertake planting. And this is going to be 4 rows, roughly. I think it suggests 3-foot rows in between your sweet corn rows. I think I have 2.5 feet to be able to do it. And well, we'll see what happens. Stay tuned. And we're just going to repeat this then for rows 2, 3, and 4. On the 4th row, I do have to take a break and dig out some of the grass to make enough room for the 2.5 foot between the final row. you're going to see me dig up this cardboard as we go. And what I'm going to do along this particular row is just fold that underneath. So it just will kind of leave a space for the trench, the seed trench. And then wherever I need to, I'll just kind of either tear the cardboard or fold under, whatever works in that particular location. Now, it's kind of interesting. I was kind of glad that we undertook this process because this side of the bed was really uneven. There is a natural slope here, but there was like a 6 or 8 inch difference in this particular part of the bed. Where I'm at right now, it was really low. So in doing the weeding, I was able to kind of move some soil and the mulchy layer and get that evened out. So that was a good thing. I'm using my seed packets, judging how far apart to put the seeds, and the peaches and cream, as opposed to the golden bantam, it wants you to space them 4 inches and then thin to 12 inches. And I think the M.I. Gardner, the golden bantam, was every 6 inches. So I use my 2 different size seed packets to do the judging. And then we'll get that covered up again. So you're going to miss this part of the project where I have to take out most of this grassiness that's coming up between the planting bed and the raised bed. Wish I had put cardboard down, but I ran out of cardboard, so I'm going to have to dig up this grass, which is not fun. But we get that up, we get the other 2 rows of seeds in, and now all we've got to do is reconfigure our weeper hoses for the corn part of the bed, and it'll probably involve putting a V in to the water line, and we'll get that taken care of in probably the next week, so we won't interfere with that corn germinating. So my battery is about to go dead on the phone, so you missed the really fun part where you see me sweat. But I appreciate you guys being here, and if you have suggestions, if you've tried this 3 Sisters planting method, like how many melons do I use, melons versus squash versus whatever. Did you try the dried beans, so black beans, kidney beans, or did you just go with pole beans? So suggestions, please let me know. And I appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching.